I actually love telling this story. I grew up in franchising, which you don't really hear. Most people kind of accidentally fall into it. But my first job when I was 16 was working for a multi-unit franchisee who owned a bunch of locations of a Lady of America. They're not around anymore. It was a women's fitness center. But I worked in the daycare at Lady of America when I was 16. That was my first job. And I worked with that franchisee for 10 years. So I started when I was 16, and through college, first couple years after college, worked my way up. Just kind of moved from the daycare to the front desk to manager to managing multiple locations. So that was my my first and real experience working for a small business owner and getting a taste of what it's like to run a small business. I worked for that franchisee for over 10 years. It was in the fitness industry, which is inspired me to stay in the fitness industry. I did my undergrad in fitness, and fast forward after college, I ended up working on the other side of franchising for the franchisor of Anytime Fitness. And so that was my first experience, kind of going from in the field franchisee to franchisor supporting franchisees. And I was with that brand for about 10 years. And when I started with Anytime Fitness, there were just a few hundred locations across the US and Canada. Fast forward 10 years later when I left, over 4,000 locations worldwide, 33 countries, explosive growth in that 10 years. So it was so amazing to be a part of a, not completely small, I would not say an emerging brand. A few hundred locations is not emerging at that point, but to grow from 400 or 500 locations to 4,000 locations, the lessons learned in those experiences was incredible, and started slowly moving from fitness subject matter expert to the business. And I continued separating further and further away, and until I finally went back to school to get my business degree. So when I left Anytime Fitness, I was ready to kind of do that all over again. I was looking for an opportunity to go back to a small emerging brand that I could help grow and apply all of those experiences from those 10 years to something new. I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and I've always appreciated that. And so, that is why I love franchising, is I get to support entrepreneurs and small businesses. And so I joined Threshold Brands, which is another home services platform organization. They have 10 brands in their portfolio. When I started with Threshold Brands, I was the brand president for a window cleaning company. After my first year, I was promoted to president of emerging brands, so I took on a few other brands in their portfolio, so I had 3 brands under me. Now I will say I was over all of the emerging brands, but there was another brand, a more mature brand in that portfolio. It wasn't mine, but I was quite envious of it because it was a residential home cleaning brand, and a really, really successful residential home cleaning brand. And I was envious of that brand because of the industry. So when the opportunity came up to lead an emerging residential home cleaning franchise, EcoMates, I was so excited, and I couldn't pass that opportunity up. So that's how I joined EcoMates and why I joined EcoMates. One of the reasons why I love this industry is because I am a consumer of this industry. A working mom, I've got 2 young girls, my husband also works full time, so we're a very busy family, and I look at my cleaner as the day maker. Like when I walk into the house and it's the day that the cleaner has been there, it's the best day ever. The little bitty things just make me smile, and I love being a part of an industry where that's what we get to do. We get to be these day makers. It's a booming industry. It's a $92 billion industry that we're a part of. Just the franchise space alone is $1.3 billion. This was 2022. So think about that. In 2022, consumers spent $1.3 billion just to franchise businesses getting their homes cleaned. So the opportunity is massive, and there's a lot happening today in our industry with in response to just the generational changes. Like boomers are retiring and their needs are changing. Boomers need our services more than ever. just with additional help around the house and housekeeping and tasks around the home. But where I get really excited is the millennials. They're the fastest growing home buying segment of the generations. They have the most buying power of all generations. And they are not the boomer DIY generation. They are the outsource generation. They don't want to do anything. They are outsourcing it all. So, millennials are really our future consumer. I mean, they're today's consumer, but they are, I think for the first time ever, millennials are about to outpace boomers. And that trend is going to continue. So the opportunity for this industry is massive. I think also it is a pretty fragmented industry. It's about 90% of the industry are independents, which to me is pretty dang exciting to be part of a franchise, because the majority of your competition are independents who don't have access to what you get as a franchisee with the big franchisor and shared services coming behind you, the branding that you get, the marketing support that you get, the sales support that you get, the training, and just independent, they're just not even your competition at all.